All right, good evening and welcome to the WNBA pre-show on News Talk New England. I'm Tiffany Williams alongside DJ Hardin Jr. And joining us from Massachusetts is Stephen Ure, the third. Stephen and DJ, wow. We are just like an hour away from the WNBA draft, and then it comes down to some top selections, but some bottom selections and some middle selections and a bunch of selections. And the Connecticut Sun, Atlanta Dream, and the Washington Mystics have some good picks in this year's WNBA draft as well. We're going to get to those. Let's talk first about the players who will be present at this year's WNBA draft at the Brooklyn Academy of Music, right across from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. And right down the street, my favorite place, Blank Street Coffee. So if anybody's ever in Brooklyn, check out Blank Street Coffee. It's right behind the Brooklyn Academy of Music. All right, y'all got to help me out here. I'm probably going to butcher some of these names because I always butcher names. Cameron Brink from Stanford will be present in the house at the 2024 WNBA Draft. All of these who I mentioned will now be there. Camila Cardoso. From South Carolina. Caitlin Clark from Iowa. Marquisha Davis from Mississippi. And I like this one. Aaliyah Edwards from Connecticut will be there. Let me just skip right down real quick. Also, Nika Moya from Connecticut will also be there. So 2 from UConn this year will be present in the house. We have Deasia Fair from Syracuse. We have Rakia Jackson from Tennessee. Elizabeth Kiley from Virginia Tech. Charisma Osborne. I actually love her name, from UCLA. Glad to see she will be there. Representing UCLA will be there. Nayadu Posh from Australia. Angel Reese from LSU. JC Sheldon from Ohio State. And also from Ohio State, Celeste Taylor. So they will be in the house in just a couple hours over at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. All of them hoping to get picked tonight. Maybe someone doesn't get picked. Usually if they're in the house, they are definitely going to get picked because they are the top 13 in the WNBA draft. But also there's some that will be home and might get picked as well. And we'll be able to see them. DJ will be upstairs in the media workroom tonight. He will have live Twitter conversations going and on News Talk New England and pretty much doing what I do during the games. And let's start with this. Steven, number 1 pick.
Yeah, I mean, we all think it's happening. And Caitlin Clark's going to be the number 1 pick for the Indiana Fever. I mean, even the Fever think it's going to be the number.
Just number 1 pick name.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, okay. Is this a conversation?
Just Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, there's some people out there that would say they don't want Caitlin Clark to go first because then there's a whole bunch of baggage on her shoulders. Maybe she should go second. Because what if she turns out to be like somebody like Mac Jones who flops?
Yeah.
And then there's a whole weight on her shoulders like Mac Jones who had a bunch of, I mean, he didn't go number 1, but
I put it like this. If Caitlin Clark turns out to not be what it seems like she's going to be, it maybe be it'd be the biggest travesty ever.
It's a bigger stage at the WNBA than it is college basketball.
True. Now for that, I think she's going to struggle those first couple of games because they're going to probably give her a lot of minutes being a number 1 pick, and I feel like those veterans are going to be out there and go get her. I'll be honest. I think they're going to give her a hard time, give her a welcome to the WNBA moment, you know. Mm-hmm. Not in a disrespectful way, but more like they're going to play hard and she's going to have to adjust to that game fairly quickly. But if she doesn't go first, I'll be thoroughly shocked if she does not go first. I mean, it's to the point where, as Stephen was saying, like the Indiana Fever assume she's going first. I mean, their season ticket sales have like increased by 300%. All their TV games are going to be nationally televised. Like it's kind of like they're setting up for her to go to Indiana, and nothing else is going to happen.
Great. So, who do you guys have for your second pick?
Now, me personally, I think Camila Cardoso from South Carolina should be the move. I see other projection boards.
Camila Cardoso.
Oh yeah, Cardoso.
Steven?
I'm still going Angel Reese, we talked about on the last show. I think she's the second best player in all of women's college basketball.
So Angela Reese.
Yep.
Give me your third picks.
Well, then see for third, I would go Cameron Brink from Stanford.
Okay.
Yep, so would I. Same with Cameron Brink, Stanford.
4.
Okay, see now the Sparks have the second and fourth pick, so now it's weird of a kind of a combo guard situation here. So that's why I say Rakia Jackson, Tennessee. She's a small forward. So you pair with the bigs, second and fourth.
And Rakia Jackson will not be there. I always think that it's going to be someone in the building that goes in the top 5.
Well, I mean that's Caitlin Clark who's in attendance, obviously,
Well, Caitlin Clark is going to be number 1, obviously.
and then I
But
think
I'm saying in the top 5. So for number 4, you just said Rakia Jackson. But she's not going to be there. So it'd be nice to see them pick somebody that's not in the building. I like that.
yeah. Well, I mean also the thing with this draft is there's a lot of more like some of the people that are going to be there. You got a lot of more like bigs. You got your centers, so you got your Aaliyah Edwards,
We're
Cameron
gonna get to
Brink.
that.
But I'm saying like that's why it's probably going to be like with the Sparks having the second and fourth pick, you're not going to pick 2 bigs. That's
Yeah.
why I think
So,
they'll go.
I think you're right, but I just wanted to say, I mean, it's nice that you say I say that too, because I don't usually see over history that they don't pick somebody that's not in the building usually for the top 5, but I do agree with you, Steven?
I'm going with Cardoso at number 4.
Cardoso at number 4. All right, pick number 5.
See, I can go a couple different ways on this, but I kind of just lean at that point. I just go Aaliyah Edwards. I mean, I feel like so far we're almost going in order of like who's the best players in college basketball in a weird way. So I feel like I would just go Aaliyah Edwards.
I like Aaliyah Edwards. She's from UConn. She's really good. Steven?
Yeah, I'm going with Aaliyah Edwards too. Last time we saw an Aaliyah, she went number 1. So I definitely see another Aaliyah going in the top 5 here. Aaliyah Boston. Yep, last year I believe she went to the Fever.
She went to the Fever
Yeah,
last year.
the Fever had back-to-back number 1 picks.
Yep.
So.
All right. Connecticut has number 10, 19.
Well, before you get that, Washington Mystics had the 6th pick. So I would say-
Washington Mystics, they're in our market. So Washington
Right.
Mystics have the 6th pick. So let's jump to that.
Now, I'll say I think they go Angel Reese. Angel Reese is from the DMV. I see it as a nice homecoming.
Homegrown player.
Yeah, homegrown. That's kind of as much as I can understand people saying she might go further up. I feel like due to like some of like the narratives around her being sort of, as I said, like pitted as the villain to
It'll draw tickets from DC too.
And I think
And Baltimore.
and I see that as like as they, even though they picture like the villain to Kellen Clark's American Hero, as I jokingly say, I do feel like in reality second best player in the draft feels a bit of a stretch. No disrespect to Injury, she's definitely SEC player of the year. Let's not let's not make that like a thing. But I think like I see her kind of going in that like 6-7 range. But I think the Mystics, I think that's a great way to have homegrown players sell some tickets. Definitely a great presence. You could use all the help you can get. They didn't make the playoffs last year, so they're kind of in rebuild.
They need something to bring a brand name or a household name, and who's better for a household name than a kid that's already from DC.
She has a household name in her own right.
Steven?
I'm going to go with the first international player to go off the board. That'll be Isabel. I'm probably going to butcher his last name.
Her last name.
Burlese is her last name. Sorry, folks. I think that she's going to go 6th to the Mystics, the first international player off the board.
All right. Then we have Connecticut Sun
Yeah, at 10.
at 10. So let's switch over to Steven first. Steven, who do you think should go first to Connecticut Sun at the 10th pick?
I kind of like Daya Shafir from Syracuse. I like the way she plays. So I'm definitely thinking that the Connecticut Sun can find, because then Syracuse is maybe 6 hours away, so it's kind of close by. So yeah, I like to see Daya Shafir go to the Connecticut Sun.
I'm going to switch it up a little bit because I agree with what you just said about Washington Mystics. I think we need a UConn player in Connecticut at the Connecticut Sun. So help me if I'm wrong here. Nika Mule. Nika Mule.
Yeah, I could see that work because she is a guard.
I'd like to see that.
See, now the reason why I agree with Steven with Daya Shafir in particular is because I think people don't realize this. if I'm not mistaken, but like she's one of those players that like was definitely one of those. She was a bucket. Like she scored a lot of points. She was really good. And given that we've lost Tisha Hyman, the Connecticut Sun, I say we because I'm from around Connecticut, but like but like the Connecticut Sun, they lost Tisha Hyman, and so for them, I think it's in their best interest to go get another guard replacement. I mean, they've definitely signed some free agents and they've done some work on that. But I'm like, I feel like bringing another person in to kind of put in that system and possibly another person to fight for that job of replacing filling those shoes with her and Tiffany Hayes retiring. You have two guard spots you need to now fill up. And as much as I know, like a Tyasha Harris probably will go from the bench to the starting lineup, you now need somebody to replace her, and I feel like that's where Fair comes in. Nico Mule also fits, but I definitely you can also even go Charisma because she's a guard from UCLA. But at this point, it's like for the Connecticut, your 10th pick, I feel like you're definitely going guard because remember you're getting Brianna Jones back. You're getting Brianna Jones back. You have DeWanna Bonner still. You have Alyssa Thomas, so your front row is pretty set. So I feel like you definitely with this number 10 pick go guard for sure.
Yeah. All right. We have number 19.
Yeah.
But Washington, I believe, has, or the Dream have one before
The
that.
Dream have pick 12, last pick of the first round.
Last pick of the first round, pick number 12. Steven?
I actually like that girl from UCLA, Charisma Osborne. Again, another big fan of how she has led the UCLA Bruins to a lot of successes last year.
I see Charisma, I could see Charisma going to Atlanta. DJ?
Okay, so my first option kind of hinges on like if she falls down the board, which would be out of Utah, Alyssa Pili. I think she's definitely got some potential, but she might go earlier. So if not, then I go Jessica Carter from Mississippi State. One of the two. I feel like something of that nature would be one of those picks. It's kind of like for Atlanta. It's kind of like there's about 12 good names I find. And it's like whoever's best available at that point, kind of thing for them.
And Atlanta, I mean, if you look at their history, they don't have good history of picking good players from the draft.
Yeah.
So they have more history of going after players already in the league and stuff like that, or just going after players. Steven, second round. Connecticut Sun has the 19th pick. Who do you go for? These ones are off the board.
Well, let's take a look at the list here. We got Quay Miller, I like out of Colorado. I think she'd be a nice pick to go to the Connecticut Sun. Be very big attribute to the team.
DJ.
For me, it's one of those things that's like sort of like kind of like once you get to later rounds, it really is the best available game. But I as long as I think Connecticut in that later round, because they have 19 and they have 22, so as long as one of those is you're getting some sort of big now, I'd like that. There's somebody out of Kansas, Tiana Jackson, I could see going somewhere like that. There's also like Mackenzie Holmes from Indiana, power forwards. Like I think as long as you're going with like some backcourt talent with those other picks after you went, I'm assuming they're going guard like a Dash Fair in the first round. That's probably where you want to go. I wouldn't be shocked though if they did decide to sneak another guard pick in there, maybe like a Celeste Taylor or somebody who falls possibly. I think Celeste is in the building if I'm not mistaken.
Celeste is in the building.
Yeah.
So those guys are off the board now.
I mean, you never know because let's remember Alexis Morris dropped last year and she was in the building. So I'm like something like I could see them going somewhere in that route. But assuming that by that pick, most of the people in the room are probably off the board. I'd say probably one of those bigs that are not in the building are probably your best case after you go guard. In the first round.
All right, pick number 20. We don't have an in between for our Mystics and Dream.
Actually, the two teams in between 19 and 22 are actually the Atlanta Dream and then the Washington Mystics.
Yeah, so 20 and 21.
So 20 and 21, we'll start with the Mystics at number 20.
No, Dreamer 20.
Dreamer 20. And the Mystics, who are at 21.
Yeah.
All right, so these guys are off the board. Who do we have for number 21 going to the Wizards? The Dream.
Well, for me, I said I'm assuming that the Dream are probably going to go one of those bigs in the first round. So now, like kind of how Connecticut, I said you kind of got to flip it. I feel like in those first two rounds. So there's definitely some guards that they like. Jazz Shelley from Nebraska. There's also Abby Husu from Columbia. So I think as long as they're going guard, I mean, no matter where they are on the draft board, as long as they're kind of going a guard, I think that's the move for the Dream. Same with the Mystics. I know we'll touch on them in a second, but I sort of the same thing after I think they'll go Angel Reese. I feel like you now have to sort of flip it. Possibly could go another big.
Let's go to Steven real quick before we get to Mystics.
Yeah, well, let's get to the Atlanta Dream, and I think they'll go with Elizabeth Kiley, the big 6'6" center out of Virginia Tech. I really like how she plays, so I think that'd be a big addition for the Mystics.
How important is height nowadays in the WNBA. We've seen people like Letitia Hitterman last year who don't have that much height.
See, it's one of those things where like it's not the biggest factor, because I've always said it's never about the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight of the dog.
Exactly.
But when it comes to, well, it depends on the position, because you see, like you said, like Heidman, like yeah, she's on the smaller side, but it's like she's also a guard, so it's not the same as like, you know, when you get like certain centers and stuff. But that's why I feel like with like Cardoso, in a sense, like she's 6'7". She pretty much was locking down the paint like nobody's business this season. That's why I'm like, for one of those top teams, you want to get her and have her lock down that paint, because how many people out there are 6'7"? Like that's bananas. So I feel like the size when it comes to, you know, your bigs and manning the paint or holding down the fort. Now there's a part of that matters a bit. That's why I feel like one of those, like some of those like bigger centers like a Cardoso, I feel like are more important due to having a couple inches than your regular, you know, 6'4", 6'5" big, when you have 2 extra inches on people.
See, when we talk about height, but how important is speed when you're looking for a good draftee in the draft?
Well, speed's important in the game of basketball in general. You know, you got players that obviously you can make a transition play and get easy basket if you are able to be fast enough. So that's another big thing here in the WNBA draft. Who's the fastest player in the draft? It'll be something to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. All right, Mystics have pick number 21. Steven, who do you have going to the Mystics for 21?
Now, I don't think she's going to be here too late in number 21, but Celeste Taylor of Ohio State. It's another girl that I really enjoy watching.
She's off the board.
Oh, she is?
She's off the board.
Well, she's saying all the people in the building we can't say. That's why.
Yes.
Technically, there's a world where it could happen.
All right, then let's go. Desiree Young at UNLV, 6'1" power forward. I think she could be a nice addition there for the Washington Mystics. Yeah. Mystics, right. That's right.
He was on the right page.
Okay. DJ, give me one pick for the Mystics.
One pick? Okay, so I was saying the whole go with a guard thing. So I could see, I think I already said it, if not, but there's a girl out of France. Carla Lati. I think I'm messing up. I think I'm messing up last names here.
We need a pronunciation guide. From
we do.
Yeah, we'll need that for next time. Yeah.
So Mario, you're
phonetic spelling.
Yes, like the NFL does.
Right. That's right. They do.
They do a pronunciation guide at the beginning of every season, and
WNBA needs something like
that. It'd be good to see that. Even baseball needs that, because we don't have that when we cover baseball either. All right, let's get to pick number 22. That is going to be Connecticut Sun. Now, Mystics and the Dream have already had their picks before 22. There's some leftovers on the table at 22. Steven.
All right, let's go. I'll go first. Brianna Maxwell out of Gonzaga. Wow, she is a very talented player. I really like her. I'd love to see her go to the Sun. I'd love to see her at Mohegan Sun Arena. That'd be interesting to see.
That would be interesting, yeah. Or even playing at TD Garden.
That's right. The Sun do play at TD Garden on August 20th against the LA Sparks. So that'd be something.
Plug real quick. And DJ, one pick. See, I try to make things difficult on DJ, because DJ will give you 6 picks. So.
Because it's the draft. Anybody can go anywhere. I mean, depending on the day. I feel like you're trying to pigeonhole me to pick your names, and it's not a little fair.
Yeah, but
you know, I said to the Sun, after you go fair as a guard in the first round, second round you're going towards the back court. So I say Quay Miller out of Colorado could be a move there. I was about to start naming people, and I realized I can't do that.
What does the Connecticut Sun, if you're Darius Taylor today, and you're there and you're sitting with Coach, and you're sitting there with
Coach Stephanie White,
if you're just sitting there and you're talking today, what is your strategy going into this draft tonight?
I'm just gonna hope that Mr. Taylor and Ms. White are in that room and they have a very simple conversation of, we just need to help apply people to our bench. I mean, watching them last season, you were a game or two away from making the finals. The year before, you were in the finals. You have your star 3 backcourt. Like I said, you got Brianna Jones, Dwana Bonner, Alyssa Thomas. You're basically just trying to get a roster and build around that. So at this point, you're just looking for people to fight for some. I mean, it's training camp. You know, you're getting people to try to fight for some positions to fill out that bench, get some depth, and just build a good team around those 3. Like I said, you've lost Heidman, Tiffany Hayes retired, so you've lost some pieces. Now we need to go back to the drawing drawing board. You still got DJ Carrington. You still have Tyasha Harris, so they're probably going from this to the starting lineup. So now at this point, your main goal is just to increase the depth on your bench, kind of how the Celtics did this past season. I compared to where you just now you need to get a great 6-man rotation, get a deep roster, have people come off your bench and start showing up. That's your pretty much plan at this point. You're going to the draft finding depth. Some teams rebuilding, but like the Connecticut Sun, it's pretty much just getting depth.
Mm-hmm. Steven, the Washington Mystics, they're an okay team, would you say?
Yeah, I mean they've been okay. They haven't had some success since
So
Del
if you're the Washington Mystics today, what logistical plan what do you go into tonight with, and what do you say? Given the picks that you guys put out on the table, what plan do you put together to go after those picks and make sure that other teams don't grab them up before you?
Well, I think you gotta go for the bigs here. Obviously, defense wins championships, so you're gonna need bigs to play strong defense here for the Mystics. You're gonna need stuff like that. And we talked about it already. The speed. You're gonna need fast players to get those easy buckets and be able to lead in games and stuff like that. And that's what's gonna lead the Mystics to a successful season.
We'll let you talk about the dream.
Okay, well,
hold on one second.
Well, let's just talk about the dream. No, wait.
All right. Real quick, what do you think the commissioner's message has to be about this? Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a league; it's a brand. Mm-hmm. What do you think the commissioner's message needs to be tomorrow? You were there last year. You saw the commissioner's message. What needs to be her message tomorrow in that room upstairs in front of the media? Not about the players, but about the fans and how the WNBA is going to work to bring more fans to view this league, to come see this league in person.
I put it into a simple phrase, sort of it's kind of how Dion was with Colorado. We coming. I feel like this league is definitely growing. The game is growing. It's amazing to see. As much as I know on Monday Night Sports Talk, I was referring to even though I feel like some like Caitlin Clark or injuries, those narratives, they're getting a lot more push than other players, of course. But at the end of the day, we're still getting people pushed. That's at the end of the day, that's more important than anything. That we're getting attention. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the message. I mean, last year I remember Commissioner Engelhardt came to a game when I was covering at Mohegan Sun Arena, and she pretty much hinted to the fact it's as long as we start getting attention and fans and we get those bigger TV right deals, everything else starts getting better. As the game grows and the fans grow and the revenue grows, when everything grows, everybody wins. That's why I was saying for an attention aspect, as much as I feel like certain athletes are getting pushed and others, when they eat, we all eat at this point. It's just the game needs to grow. So I feel like her message needs to be just show about how the game is growing, it's getting better. You jump on the boat now because we coming.
Yep. Steven? The message of the commissioner tomorrow night.
But I'm sure we should be hoping for the best for all these WNBA players. There's a lot of talent coming into the draft this year. We talk about Angel Reese, who I think is the second best player in all of women's college basketball. Obviously, the number one is Caitlin Clark. You got girls like Celeste Taylor out of Ohio State. She was another great one. The girl from Gonzaga. There's a lot of star power coming into this draft. Unfortunately, Paige Beckers from UConn is not coming into this draft. She might have actually been the number one pick if it wasn't Caitlin Clark, if she was going into the draft this year. So that's how star-studded this women's college basketball class really is, because technically speaking, Paige Bueckers could have been part of the 2024 draft, and she's just one of the players that are staying in school, that they would have made this draft even stronger with all these girls coming into the WNBA draft. So the commissioner's message is going to be something along the lines of, what a draft we have, how lucky are we, all that good stuff. It's going to be a great WNBA season.
DJ, spinning away with the Atlanta Dream and what their logistical plan has to be for tomorrow night.
Okay, so actually, funny enough, I feel like the Dream and the Mystics are kind of in the same position where they both made the playoffs. They were on the lower end of the spectrum of the seed, so they're kind of in that, I say, the middle of the road. Middle of the pack. It's not, you're not first, but you're not last. Where the Connecticut Sun, we're a top 3 team, and we've had other teams that are towards the bottom 3. They're middle of the pack. They're right down the middle of the road. So I feel like for them, it's more of a trying to attack this draft and attract how they attract free agency, which is how do we improve and become from middle of the pack to one of those top teams? How do we contend with the Connecticut Sun, New York Liberty, Las Vegas Aces? How do we contend with those teams? So I feel like for the Dream, for the Mystics, your job right now is to then get into the draft and try to improve your team to get that one more step. And especially for the Mystics, you have some people in there. You have a Natasha Cloud. You have some weapons down there. So I think your first move. I mean, you also have free agency, but the Seattle Storm went and got Skylar Diggins, and they went and improved. So it's like you just got to try to improve yourself and not go backwards. Because you're right in the middle of the pack. So you don't want to go down. You got to keep moving forward. So like I feel like for the Dream, for the Mystics that are in that same little boat, but especially the Dream because they're like higher, see they're fifth. Your goal is to now progress and get better and try to get into those top contender spot and fight with those top teams.
All right, welcome back to the WNBA pre-show on News Talk New England. I'm Tiffany Williams, and joining me tonight is DJ Harden Jr. and from Massachusetts, Stephen Ure III. All right, folks, we have been talking about some pretty good, interesting stuff, logistical planning and what players are going to go in the tops and stuff like that. All right, now we got to talk about the worst subject, the subject that none of us ever want to talk about. What players go in the bottom 5?
That's tough.
Well, it's always one of those like conversations, like basically it's like who's the last, but you got to think in a weird way. You got to give them credit because they're even still then.
That's still in the draft.
Yeah, they're still getting picked.
It's not like that. But who goes in the bottom 5?
I mean, I just on most draft boards, and I say most because I'm kind of in agreement. You got people like a Kiki Jefferson from Louisville. You got a Jalen Sherrod from Colorado. These are both guards. You got a guard out of Auburn, Sarah Cecilia. I think that's how you say her last name. Could be butchering that possibly. So you got people like that towards the bottom of the draft. Filling out. You have the Connecticut Sun who have 34th pick. That's in that bottom half. I kind of have them going with another guard after I said like you went guard early, too big, so now like a lower guard. So I can see some of that happening there. So yeah, I feel like that's around the group where you're just kind of rounding out. Like I said, like Jalen Sherrod out of Colorado, Kiki Jefferson from Louisville, Hannah Jump from Stanford. Some of those like simpler like names, they're not as big, but they're still good players. But those are going to be the ones that probably round out this draft.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned these. I keep going back to the bigs here, and you talk about players like the girl from Ohio State, Rebecca, and again, I'm going to butcher this last name, but I'm not even going to try it here. She's a 6'4". She's projected to go to the Liberty. And obviously, the Liberty to have a big and Brianna Stewart, but can you imagine 2 bigs on the Liberty? A team that just went to the WNBA Finals last year and fell to the Las Vegas Aces. I mean, maybe that's the thing that could get the Liberty over that hump, is another big that can lead them to the championship this season.
But who's going in the bottom 5?
Well, like I said, maybe Rebecca going number 35 to the New York Liberty, and then you think about the bottom 5. In the NFL, that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing here in the WNBA. It's not a bad thing in WNBA here either.
You're still getting picked.
The final pick here is the champion, the Las Vegas Aces, and they're projected to pick. Let me see if I can see this last name, Jalen Sherrod from Colorado. She's a 5'7" point guard, but still, again, you're going to the defending champion. So even going as being the very last pick in the NFL draft, or in the WNBA draft, kind of like Brock Purdy went last in the NFL draft, it's not always that big of a problem. Not that big a disappointment or anything like that.
Stephen, Stephen talks about the Las Vegas Aces. Mm-hmm. They need to defend themselves. They need to get this player from the draft to defend themselves. Connecticut Sun, Mystics, Wizards. Not Wizards.
The Dream.
I covered too much sports, I guess. The Dream. What do they need to do? Or can the draft be the deciding factor for them on if they get good players, that they could be a contender against the Aces who are defending their championship?
Well, the thing that is about this draft is, in a sense, can you contend with the Aces? Yes, in theory. But now the thing is, you need to find something that's going to stop the force that is Asia Wilson. Mm-hmm. As long as she's in Vegas with Kelsey Plum and the rest of the gang, that they've taken that roster, they're just running it back another year. Mm-hmm. Contending with them is going to be hard. Mm-hmm. There's a world where they easily can go back to back. Mm-hmm. For Connecticut, because you were closer and you were only a game off, you just got to get over New York Liberty of that hump. And
it seems like New York is like a thorn in the backside of Connecticut's Sun.
Yes, well, because in a sense, in the gap that is, the Aces were first, Connecticut was third, New York, Liberty were the thing in between.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a point in the season last year where it seemed like they were winning every game that was anybody not named the Liberty or the Aces. Like that was actually a thing at one point in the season. So for them, it's definitely like you just got to try to, for the Connecticut Sun, more easier than the Mystics and the Dream. You just draft with your 10th pick. I said you're just trying to fill out your bench, get some depth, and you're possibly trying to get over the hump that is those two teams ahead of you. Mm-hmm. For the Dream and the Mystics, in perspective, they're farther back. The Dream were 5th, Mystics were 7th in a 12-team league.
They're not even really contending.
Yeah, you're like it's like in a league where there's 30-something teams, 5th and 7th. You're like, oh snap! In a league where there's 12 teams, you're basically middle of the pack because you're not last. You made the playoffs, so it's like I said, like firing head coaches and stuff, and like trying to say full blown rebuild. Not as much. You're not the Fever with 2 back-to-back first-round picks. In this case, you're literally in the middle of the pack trying to figure it out. So for them to try to contend with the Aces, it's going to be a little harder and probably something that takes maybe a year or two and some more rebuilding, possibly. But like I said, like in this draft, you're trying to make a splash, make some moves, find some talent. Even if you sneak somebody in the back, like in the Brock Purdy sense, as you were mentioning, you try to go get somebody back in the draft to make an impact. Your main goal at the end of the day is just trying to go from the middle of the pack to contending if you're the Mystics and Dream. And if you're Connecticut Sun, it's now just getting over the hump that is the 2 teams ahead of you. But with the Aces, like I said, the dominant core they have in Asia Wilson and Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, that's a hard task.
Yeah. On point, right on point. Stephen, how important is it for the Connecticut Sun going? I mean, I'll go to you, DJ. During the offseason, we've seen the players, the caliber of players and veterans that the Connecticut Sun has added to their roster. But you still have but you still have mini camps and stuff like that, practices and stuff like that before the league starts, I believe, in May. It's May 20th.
I think the first game officially is May 14th.
May 14th.
Because it's going to be, actually what's funny is the Indiana Fever are coming to town.
Yeah.
So Caitlin Clark's debut will be in Mohegan Sun
Arena.
Wow.
Which would be really amazing.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Wow.
Steven's
I'm lit up. I didn't even know. Like, oh my goodness. Wow. How about that?
So how we've seen the caliber of players that they've signed during the offseason that they brought onto their roster, aside from the draft. Talk to me about those caliber players that they've brought on.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, it's just, I said, like, you're adding talent, you're adding depth. At the end of the day, like, that's the main thing you're trying to do. I mean, for instance, they got Tiffany Mitchell, and I feel like she's an impact as a guard. They got, like I said, you're just trying to get guards to round out your team and get some depth. I feel like that was a good move they made, getting Tiffany Mitchell for sure. And like I said, it's the move they made in general. It's one of those things where, like I said, their main goal at the end of the day is just adding depth. I feel like they've done that really well. Another guard they went and got over this offseason, my brain space. Mariah Jefferson. Once again, like I said, another guard. They're just trying to fill the depth, that gap. That's why I say, like, having a Dasha Fair and picking her would be great, to have her come in and contend for the same teams and jobs with them, which would be great for sure. But yeah, I mean, they definitely made some great roster moves. I mean, it all goes in the same theme, and that's why I feel like the main message for your Daryl, as Darius or Daryl, Mr. Taylor. I should just went Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Taylor.
I should just go Mr. Taylor. I'm thinking my name, Daryl. Maybe that's what it is. But for Mr. Taylor, Coach White, I just know.
We'll call him DT.
Yeah, I'm not giving him a nickname. That feels a little crazy. I don't know. Something feels wrong about that. But I just know for Mr. Taylor, Coach White, like, I know their main goal, like I said, is just adding depth, and they've definitely shown that in the offseason. Some of the acquisitions they've made, I feel like with this picks in the draft, you just add some more to that. Let everybody go into training camp in about 2 weeks. If I'm not mistaken, the training camp starts right around like late April when the draft starts, around that like 25th, 28th, kind of give you 2 weeks for the season. At that point, I'm just like, let everybody come in for a couple weeks of practice, hash it out, fight it out, and just contend for those last couple of spots.
All right, welcome back to the WNBA Pre-Draft Show on News Talk New England. I'm Tiffany Williams, and the draft starts in a couple of hours at the Brooklyn Academy of Music in Brooklyn, New York, right next to the Barclays Center, and right back door from Blink Street Coffee, my favorite place in Brooklyn to grab a cup of coffee. So if you're in Brooklyn, be sure to check out Blink Street Coffee. Really amazing place, great staff. Please check them out. We'll be right back with more. All right, welcome back. I'm Tiffany Williams, alongside DJ, alongside Stephen Irf, who's back in Massachusetts. Talk to me, guys. First time we're doing this. First time we're going to do this right now. The Elite Player of the Night. Only one player. They are going to be the M&T Bank Player of the Night. Who do you go with, Stephen?
Obviously, go with Caitlin Clark.
I mean, yeah, you gave him alley-oop there. I personally am going to switch it up just for the heck of it. Because I feel like one of those players I'm really high on that's not getting enough attention. Because given that she's the center that led South Carolina to an undefeated season, something that only the 5 schools done, Camila Cardoso. That's going to be my player of the night. I think possibly might have the biggest impact in the league starting out from day one. Caitlin Clark most likely will do that. I'm not going to sit there and pretend that's not up for grabs. But I feel like a close second would probably be a Cardoso. I think she's going to make a big impact for whatever team she goes to. And because like the attention hasn't been really there, in my opinion, I feel like she definitely could make a little noise. So that's going to be my player of the night, Camila Cardoso.
All right, welcome back to the WNBA pre-show for the draft 2024. I'm Tiffany Williams. Joining us from Massachusetts, Stephen Err, and DJ Harden here in Brooklyn with me tonight. DJ, tell me what you love about New York City.
Well, I've done some things today which has been really fun.
In 5 words.
5 words. Oh, that's foul. Now I got to visit the home plate where of Ebbets Field where Jackie Robinson played, so that's been great today. Yeah. Went and got some soul food. So I've had fun time in Brooklyn. New York as a whole, I mean, Broadway, I've been there a couple times, which has been fun. Times Square, all the good stuff, So I always appreciate my trips to New York when there's a reason why I'm here. So, second year being here for the draft's always been fun. Mm-hmm. Also, the fun thing that was my friends. What are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to WNBA draft. Because I'm the type of person where I don't say what I'm doing to the day of.
Last year you didn't say until you didn't even say until after.
Nope, I posted the pictures that day. Like the thing is, I posted the pictures that day. Like same thing. I haven't by the time we're listening to this, the pictures are now up. But like I didn't post no pictures of that until the day of. But all my close friends, when they're like, "What you doing this weekend?" I was like, "Oh yeah, by the way."
Yeah.
So I was like, I secretly love that, having to come to New York these last 2 years, cover the drafts. It's been a blessing. So I'm grateful for that. But yeah, it's been fun time here in Brooklyn and in New York as a whole.
Listen, you talk about soul food. My favorite Caribbean restaurant is literally around the corner. I'm not going to mention the name. They are closed today. They are closed. We're in Brooklyn. I don't come to Brooklyn much, but they are closed. Steven, you're a Jersey kid. So talk to me about on the other side of the pond.
I've been on the side of the pond a few times. I've obviously gone to Nets games, so it's a lot of fun. Gone to Coney Island before. That's a long train ride. From Manhattan to Coney Island, it's about 18 stops. Takes like an hour and a half to get to Coney Island, but it was a good time. And you also we talk about the Brooklyn Cyclones. They play on Coney Island. Their ballpark is literally right next to like a whole smorgasbord of rides. It's really cool. And obviously in Manhattan, I've been to One World Trade Center, where the Twin Towers, the memorial is actually right next to that. So I've been up in Freedom Tower before, Sky Deck, all that good stuff. I'll be actually going to New York a few times this spring, so I look forward to going back. I know May 11th I'll be going to either New Rochelle, New York, which is not far from New York City, or I'll be in the Bronx covering a game. So look forward to go back to New York.
The Boogie Down Bronx. When I first started going to New York years ago, we would go to the Bronx and we'd just hang out for the day and stuff like that. and we'd have a lot of fun time in the projects back in the day. This one, as my bad self, I guess you could say. All right, let's get back to the WNBA draft right after this, and Steven will lead us off, coming back from the commercial.
What am I leaving? I ain't leaving nothing.
60 seconds.
I got nothing. I could talk about Kate Clark, I guess. The impact she has done. All right, welcome back, everybody. To WNBA pre-draft show, draft pre-show, what do we want to call it? Tiffany Williams alongside DJ Harding. I'm Steven R. here in Worcester, staying home this weekend. I gotta get to work in, I guess you would say. So let's talk a little bit about Caitlin Clark once more and the impact she has had on the WNBA as a whole, because not only will the Indiana Fever have their 36 of their 40 games nationally broadcast, and that's big stuff, especially for a sport like the WNBA that's now gaining popularity as it deserves. But then you got an instance where on July 2nd, the Fever are going to host, the Aces are going to host the Fever. So we have Caitlin Clark's first time in Vegas. And what have the Aces done? Well, they moved their game that day on July 2nd against the Fever from the 12,000 seat Michelob Ultra Center to the 20,000 seat T-Mobile Arena, where events such as the Vegas Golden Knights NHL games are held, and also the iHeartRadio Awards. So that's pretty big stuff there. And this is all just because Caitlin Clark is the best player in all of women's basketball.
All right. I'm gonna say this simply. I feel like the most underrated player in this draft, I've mentioned multiple times now, I'm full blown, just give me 50 seconds to rant. Camila Cardoso. I don't understand, as much as I appreciate Caitlin Clark, and like you said, best player in college women's basketball, best player, I can't disagree with that. Injuries, possibly second, can't disagree with that. But Camila Cardoso, literally, I feel like she genuinely, like you said, led a team to an undefeated season. Like, that's not something that's normal. Held down the fort, like the big in the middle, and I feel like she's just kind of becoming an afterthought to the point where they have her projected like third behind Cameron Brink and possibly later, and like, oh, where she might go. And I'm like, how do you win the national championship, be the person that on like the helm, the captain of that team, to lead them there? Literally at one point in the SEC tournament, to book your ticket, she hits a game-winning three-pointer, her first one ever. Game's on the line, you hit your first three, and that's what you do? Like, you clutch up like that? And they're just like, oh yeah, she might be third. So for that, I'm like, I want to say most underrated player, Camila Cardoso.
All right, welcome back. That was their 60 minutes blitz. Oh, my 60 second blitz.
Say 60. Is it the news?
It felt like 60 minutes. Steven, your last word on Caitlin Clark, 60 seconds was great. In 5 words, sum up the difference maker between this year's draftees and last year's draftees. Steven first, DJ second.
Well, we talk about Leah Boston.
5 words.
5 words. Oh boy, it's just tough stuff here. I'm trying to think how many words. I know I'm going to say, but it's not. I think it's like 6 words. So.
DJ's counting.
All right, I'm just going to go for it. Caitlin Clark over Leah Boston.
Okay.
The difference, this is not my 5 words, the difference in this draft.
Just 5 words.
Yeah, I know,
Just 5 words.
Can you let me like pitch my thing? No, I got to explain before I pitch it. It's not fair.
Just 5 words. Just 5 words. We wouldn't let Steven do it. Wouldn't be fair.
He got to get his 2 minutes, little 3 sentences out before he said Caitlin Clark over Leah Boston. That's not fair. Anyway, my 5 words. Game-changing players are here.
I I love that. I love
Can I explain now? That's fake.
All right, folks, we are back, and DJ's going to explain his 5 words really quick, and then Steven's going to explain his 5 words.
Okay, so I feel like, as I've mentioned with the media and the attention lately, these players are definitely game changing. I have pitched the hero villain arc of Caitlin Clark in injuries similar to a Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. I just feel like the way that they're going to change this league, and they're changed because you see what they've changed women's basketball and how they changed women's basketball. Them too, like we mentioned, all the players in this draft: the Brink, Edwards, Cardoso. I mean, they've all just changed the way we're viewing the game. And this year, the women's tournament was viewed more than the men's. That's something that's never been done before. And it didn't even happen. So I feel like that's why I'm explaining that they're just game-changing players, and they're here. They've arrived. They're coming to the league. And like I said, like the phrase, like Coach Prime in Colorado, we coming. I just feel like that they're here and they've arrived. That's why I said game-changing players are here. So that's my explanation of my 5 words.
Yeah, I mean, Caitlin Clark, we didn't really talk about Aaliyah Boston like this when we were talking about her last year. I mean, I just talked about it for like a couple minutes here. Caitlin Clark has literally changed ticket prices like, God, I want to say 5 times over. You know, any of favorite tickets for like $50. Now they're $250. It's crazy. They forced a whole team to move a game with 12,000 more or 8,000 more seats. We I remember the last time we ever talked about someone like this. We would talk about Caleb Williams like this. Like, he's not making any big differences in the NFL market like Caitlin Clark is in the WNBA market. It's insane, really. It's insane.
All right, folks. Welcome back to the WNBA Draft Pre-Show. I'm Tiffany Williams from Brooklyn, New York. I'm not from Brooklyn, New York. Alongside Stephen Ure. And, well, Stephen is joining us from Worcester, and DJ's here in Brooklyn. And we are going to let, unconventional here, we are going to give DJ 3 minutes here to talk about his WNBA draft and who's cooking in who's kitchen right now.
Okay, I mean, simply put, I feel like just going down, team by team here. Like I said, Caitlin Clark, undoubtedly first decision. Simple as that. I mean, it's one of those weird moments where I understand, as much as I argue about the overhyping at times and the very much push narratives, she's definitely the first player off the board. As Stephen's mentioned multiple times, she's changing the game. They're definitely making ticket sales go up, prices. It's all different. Now, granted, she's being pushed more than Aaliyah Boston. Who's better? We'll see, I guess, as they're on the same team. But Caitlin Clark's obviously first. I think Cardoso should go second. If Kim Brink goes there, the Sparks, they need to have a combination of a big and then go over Kia Jackson at 4, I believe. Which one they pick, it doesn't really matter. And then I just know they're probably going to go, like, whoever out of Brink and Cardoso goes second, the other one's probably going third. Like I said, 5th, you got Aaliyah Edwards. 6th, I see Angel Reese going home to the DMV. I think that's a very great decision for the Mystics and for Angel Reese, because that's a market you can tap into that you've already been at. You'll be comfortable. You'll be at home, basically. I see it as a good thing. I think the Aaliyah Edwards move to the Dallas Wings will be a good one, especially knowing that they have Satu Sabali that's already down there for the Wings. So right there you have a great mentor for Aaliyah Edwards, which is great. I can also definitely see all types of moves going on. I feel like the Las Vegas Aces have a move that they can make. At this point, like you said, they're on top of the board. So as long as they're just adding to the team and adding pieces, it's definitely going to be great. It's one of those things with this draft, as long as everybody's kind of trying to improve their teams, which is the goal at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of players out there that you can see doing that.
Definitely agree with you on that. Listen, I think that tonight is going to be something to watch, remember, and I think there's going to be a lot of great takeaways. We'll talk about that after this. We'll talk about that after tonight. But on Newstalk New England on Twitter and Instagram, be sure to follow. We'll have continuing coverage throughout the night on those, and we'll have a post-draft show with DJ in Brooklyn. So that'd be awesome to see. And we're going to have to find out where your favorite soul food place was in Brooklyn, too.
Yeah, we're going to have to find it out.
So we'll show that on the post-game show.
Sounds like a plan.
Tonight after the WNBA Draft 2024. I'm Tiffany Williams. Remember, folks, you don't have to be perfect. Just be yourself. Thank you.